Every family has rules. Don't talk about politics at dinner. Don't open presents before Christmas morning. Call your mother on Sundays. Most family rules are harmless traditions, but some family rules exist because breaking them has consequences beyond imagination. The Blackwood family of Virginia's Appalachian Mountains has maintained one rule since 1847. Never open the root cellar door at the old homestead. Not to check what's inside, not to repair it, for no reason ever. The door is locked from the inside, has been for 176 years, and at night, something pounds against it from below. Sometimes it screams. Sometimes it begs in voices of the dead. Sometimes it's silent for months, lulling you into thinking maybe it's gone, maybe it's safe to look. It's never safe. This is the story of Marcus Webb, a real estate developer who bought the Blackwood property thinking the warnings were just local superstition meant to protect a historical site. He opened the door, and what came out had been waiting for nearly 2 centuries to be released. Some doors are locked to keep things in, and some things should never, ever be let out. Welcome to the Blackwood homestead. The cellar door is waiting, and what's behind it is very, very hungry. Marcus Webb had made his fortune buying up historic properties in remote areas and converting them into luxury resorts for wealthy clients seeking authentic wilderness experiences. The Blackwood homestead in Virginia was perfect for his purposes, a 200-year-old farmhouse on 150 acres of pristine mountain land, isolated enough to feel remote, but close enough to major cities to be accessible. The property had been on the market for years at a fraction of its actual value, scaring away previous buyers with its strange history and the current owner's insistence on maintaining certain restrictions. Those restrictions, Marcus had discovered, were ridiculous. The property could only be sold if the buyer agreed never to open or remove a specific door, the root cellar entrance located on the north side of the main house. The current owner, an elderly woman named Evelyn Blackwood, who lived in a small cottage at the property's edge, had refused multiple offers from buyers who wouldn't agree to this condition. "It's a liability issue," Marcus's lawyer had said. "She's clearly got some kind of obsessive condition related to that door, mental illness, family superstition, something. We can agree to her terms to close the deal. Then, once the property transfers, we can do whatever we want. She'll have no legal standing to stop us." Marcus had agreed to Evelyn's terms, signed the papers, and taken possession of the Blackwood homestead on October 15th. His plan was simple: spend a week documenting the property's current state, bring in contractors to begin demolition of the old structures, and have the luxury resort operational within 18 months. The homestead itself was impressive, a 2-story stone and timber house in remarkable condition considering its age. The interior had been maintained carefully, with period furniture and fixtures that Marcus could already see repurposed as authentic historical touches in the resort's main lodge. And then there was the root cellar. It was located on the north side of the house, accessible through an exterior entrance, a wooden door set into a stone frame, leading down into the earth. The door was secured with 3 heavy iron locks, all engaged from the inside, which was impossible, of course. You couldn't lock a door from the inside and then leave through that same door. Someone had carved words on the door's exterior, the letters deep and desperate. "What we bound must stay bound. God forgive us for what we did. Do not open this door. Blackwood family, March 1847. "Creepy," Marcus's assistant Julia said, photographing the door for the property documentation. "But kind of cool from a historical perspective. We could keep this as a feature, the mysterious locked cellar, part of the property's lore. Or we could open it, see what's inside, and use the space for wine storage or something practical," Marcus said. He tested the door, pulling on the handle. It didn't budge. Solid. Whatever was locking it from inside was sturdy. That evening, Evelyn Blackwood came to the main house. She was in her 80s, thin and frail, but her eyes were sharp and desperate. "Mr. Webb, you agreed not to disturb the cellar door," she said without preamble. I agreed not to open it, Marcus corrected. I haven't. Just examining my new property. You're thinking about it. I can see it in your face. You're wondering what's down there, why the locks are on the inside, what the warning means. Evelyn's voice shook. Please, I'm begging you, honor the agreement. Leave the door alone. Miss Blackwood, I appreciate your family's history with this property, but I'm running a business here. I can't have a mysterious locked cellar on my resort grounds. It's a safety issue, a liability. It's a containment issue. My family has maintained that door for 176 years. 7 generations of Blackwoods have lived on this property, and every single one has been taught the same rule. Never open the cellar door. Do you know why? Honestly, I assumed it was some kind of historical preservation thing. Because something is down there. My great-great-grandfather's journal mentions it. He was 10 years old when his family locked the cellar. He wrote that his father and uncles had bound the creature and sealed it away where it could do no more harm. The entire family disappeared 3 days later. All 7 of them vanished in the night. Only my great-great-grandfather survived because he'd been sent to stay with relatives in the next valley. So your family disappeared 176 years ago, and you think it's related to the cellar? I know it is, because they came back, Mr. Webb. My great-great-grandfather wrote about it. 3 nights after his family disappeared, he heard pounding on the cellar door, and voices. His mother's voice, begging him to let her out. His father's voice, commanding him to open the door. His siblings crying, pleading, but he'd been told never to open it, no matter what he heard, so he didn't, and eventually the voices stopped. That's a tragic family story, Miss Evelyn, Marcus said carefully, but it doesn't mean there's actually something dangerous in the cellar. More likely your ancestors suffered some kind of trauma and created a mythology around it to cope. The voices never fully stopped, Evelyn continued as if he hadn't spoken. Every night at that door, something pounds. Sometimes it's silent for months, lulling you into thinking maybe it's finally gone. Then it starts again, pounding, begging, using the voices of the dead to try to convince someone to open the door. Have you heard these voices? Marcus asked. Every night for 60 years, Evelyn said. Her eyes were haunted. My mother, my father, my brother who died in Vietnam. The cellar knows who I've lost. It uses their voices perfectly. Sometimes I've stood at that door with my hand on the locks, so desperate to believe it's really them, really my family begging to be released. But I've never opened it, and neither did my father or his mother before him. 7 generations have resisted. You've owned this property for 8 hours, Mr. Webb. Are you arrogant enough to think you know better than 7 generations of warnings? I think I know the difference between family superstition and reality, but I appreciate your concern, and I promise I won't open the door before thoroughly investigating what's behind it first. Evelyn's face went pale. Investigating means opening it. Please, I'll buy the property back. Name your price. Just please don't open that door. The property isn't for sale, Miss Blackwood, and I need you to leave now. You're trespassing. Evelyn left, but her words haunted Marcus that night. He'd set up a temporary bed in the main house's master bedroom, and as he lay there trying to sleep, he heard it. Pounding from the direction of the cellar. Heavy, rhythmic pounding. Bang, 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 like someone hammering on wood from the inside. Marcus got up and went outside, flashlight in hand. The pounding was coming from the cellar door, steady, persistent, desperate. And then he heard a voice, muffled by the door and earth, but definitely human. Please, let me out. I've been down here so long. Please. Marcus approached the door cautiously. The voice sounded young, female, terrified. "Who's there?" Marcus called out. The pounding stopped. Then, "Oh, thank God! Someone's there! Please, you have to help me. I'm trapped. The door won't open from the inside. I've been down here for days. Please, let me out." "How did you get in there?" Marcus asked. I don't remember. I was hiking, and then I was here, and I can't get out. Please, it's so dark, so cold. I think something else is down here with me. Please, just open the door." Marcus reached for the locks, then stopped. Evelyn's warnings echoed in his mind. But this sounded like a real person, someone genuinely trapped. If there was someone in the cellar and he left them there because of superstitious warnings. "I'm going to get tools to unlock this from the outside. Hold on." "No, don't leave me. Please, it's coming closer. I can hear it moving in the dark. Please, just unlock the door now." The voice was rising in panic, becoming shrill. Marcus hesitated, his hand on the locks. Something about the voice was starting to sound wrong, too desperate, too perfectly calibrated to trigger his sympathy. "What's your name?" Marcus asked. Silence. Then, "Sarah. My name is Sarah. Please, why does that matter? Just open the door." "How old are you, Sarah?" Another pause. "I'm 23. Why are you asking me questions? Just open the fucking door." The voice had changed, was changing, becoming less human, more guttural, and Marcus realized with creeping horror that the voice was shifting between speakers, sometimes young female, sometimes older, sometimes with different accents, as if whatever was behind the door was trying different voices, seeing which one worked best. "You're not Sarah," Marcus said, backing away from the door. A laugh, deep and wrong, echoing from below. "No, but I could be Sarah. Or I could be your mother, your dead father, anyone you've lost, anyone you miss enough to open this door for. I've had 176 years to perfect the voices, to learn what humans respond to, what makes them open doors they shouldn't." Marcus turned and ran back to the house. Behind him, the thing in the cellar laughed and laughed, the sound following him even after he slammed and locked the main house door. He didn't sleep the rest of that night, and in the morning he made a decision. He was going to open the cellar, but he'd do it properly, with cameras recording everything, with backup present, with safety protocols in place. Whatever was down there, he'd document it, deal with it, and remove it so his resort could proceed. Marcus called in a contractor friend, David Chen, who specialized in historical renovation. David arrived 2 days later with equipment and a small crew. Marcus showed him the cellar door and explained the situation, leaving out the historical elements, presenting it as a historical mystery that needed solving. "Locks on the inside," David said, examining the door. "That's unusual. The only way to install locks from the inside is to seal yourself in, which means whoever locked this either had another exit or they died down there." "There's no other exit. I've checked the property plans. This is the only entrance to the cellar." "Then maybe we'll find out what happened to the Blackwood family," David said. "Stand back. We'll cut through the locks." Marcus had set up cameras at multiple angles, all recording. Julia and 2 of David's crews stood at a safe distance. David used a torch to cut through the first lock. The moment the lock fell away, they heard something from inside the cellar. Not pounding this time, but a sound like breathing, heavy, labored breathing from something large. "Maybe there's an animal trap down there," one of the crew suggested nervously. "Trapped through 176 years?" Julia said. "Not likely." David cut through the second lock. The breathing grew louder, more excited, and underneath it, Marcus could hear whispers, multiple voices, speaking in languages he didn't recognize. The third lock fell away. The door was now held closed only by its hinges and whatever was pressing against it from the inside. "Last chance to reconsider," David said, looking at Marcus. Marcus thought about Evelyn's warnings. about the pounding he'd heard every night since arriving, about the voices that tried to manipulate him into opening the door. But he'd come too far, invested too much, and he needed to know what was really down there, animal, vagrant, or nothing at all. "Open it," Marcus said. David pulled the door open. For a moment, nothing happened. The cellar entrance yawned dark and silent. Stone steps led down into absolute blackness. The smell that wafted up was wrong, not decay or mold, but something organic and alien, like breathing meat. Then something moved in the darkness below, fast, a sound like many limbs skittering on stone, and voices, dozens of voices, hundreds maybe, all speaking at once in a cacophony that hurt to hear. "Finally! Free! So hungry! Thank you for opening the door! We can leave now! We can spread! We can feed!" David screamed and stumbled backward. His crew ran. Julia grabbed Marcus's arm and pulled him away from the cellar entrance. And then it emerged. Marcus's mind struggled to process what he was seeing. It was too large for the cellar entrance, but it came through anyway, its form seeming to compress and fold in ways that violated physics. It looked like it was made of people, or parts of people, all fused together into a single massive organism. Faces protruded from its surface, some screaming, some laughing, all moving and shifting as the thing flowed out of the cellar and onto the ground. And as it emerged into daylight for the first time in 176 years, the faces turned toward Marcus and his crew. All those human faces, embedded in impossible flesh, focused on them with terrible hunger. "Run!" Marcus shouted. They ran, but the thing was faster. It flowed after them like liquid, covering ground with horrible speed. One of David's crew, a young man named Tom, tripped and fell. The thing was on him before he could get up. Marcus looked back and immediately wished he hadn't. The thing wasn't eating Tom, it was absorbing him, pulling him into its mass, his screaming face joining the hundreds already embedded in its surface. They reached the cars, but David's truck wouldn't start. Marcus's car roared to life and he screamed at Julia to get in. She dove into the passenger seat and Marcus floored the accelerator, tires spinning in the dirt. In his rearview mirror, Marcus saw the thing absorb David and his remaining crew member, saw it turn toward Evelyn's cottage at the property's edge, saw the old woman standing on her porch, watching the horror unfold with terrible resignation. "You were warned," Evelyn said, her voice carrying across the distance. "7 generations warned you, and you opened it anyway." The thing flowed toward her cottage. Evelyn didn't run, just stood there and waited, her expression one of sad acceptance. And then the thing took her too, her face joining the others in its writhing mass. Marcus drove. He drove until he reached the main highway, then kept driving, Julia sobbing in the passenger seat beside him. They made it 30 miles before Marcus's phone rang. It was a number he didn't recognize. Against his better judgment, he answered. "Marcus Webb?" The voice was a chorus, hundreds of voices speaking in perfect unison, all the people the thing had absorbed, all speaking together. "Thank you for freeing us. We've been waiting so long, so very long, and now we're free to spread, to grow, to consume. The Blackwood family tried to contain us in 1847, tried to bind us with their pathetic ritual, locked us in their cellar and sealed the door. We absorbed them for their presumption, but the binding held until you came along." "What are you?" Marcus whispered. "We are what happens when human souls are compressed and merged. The Blackwoods didn't create us. We're ancient, older than this land, but they found us, tried to use us, tried to control us, and when they realized what we were, they tried to destroy us, failed, so they contained us instead, locked us away and hoped we'd never be freed." "How do I stop you?" Laughter, hundreds of voices laughing. "We can't. We're free now, uncontained, and we're very, very hungry. This whole valley will be ours within days, within weeks, the whole state. We grow with every person we absorb, and each absorbed soul makes us stronger, faster, more intelligent. You've released something that will consume everything. Well done." The call ended. Marcus and Julia drove straight to the police, told them everything. The police, predictably, didn't believe them, sent a unit out to the Blackwood property to investigate. The officers never returned. More units were sent. None came back. By the second day, the thing had absorbed everyone in the Blackwood Valley, over 300 people. Their faces joined the mass, their voices added to the chorus, and the thing kept growing, kept spreading, flowing through the mountain forests faster than humans could flee. The military was called in. They tried to contain the thing with fire, with explosives, with everything they had. Nothing worked. The thing couldn't be killed because it wasn't alive, not in any conventional sense. It was a collective of absorbed souls, bound together in impossible flesh, and it just kept growing. Within a week, the thing had absorbed over 10,000 people. Within 2 weeks, 100,000. The cities nearest the Blackwood property were evacuated, but not everyone made it out in time. Marcus Webb watched it all on the news from a bunker in Montana. He'd fled as far as he could, but he knew it didn't matter. The thing was spreading exponentially. Soon, there'd be nowhere left to run. And every night, his phone rang. Different numbers, but always the same chorus of voices. "Thank you, Marcus Webb. Thank you for opening the door. Thank you for freeing us. Soon we'll come for you too. Soon your face will join ours. Soon you'll be part of us, forever." The last news report Marcus saw before the internet went dark estimated that the thing had absorbed over 1 million people. It was still spreading, still growing, still consuming everything in its path. And it all started because Marcus Webb didn't believe in warnings, didn't respect the rules that had kept something terrible contained for 176 years, didn't think a locked door could be locked for a good reason. Some doors are locked to keep things out. Some doors are locked to keep things in. And some doors should never, ever be opened, no matter what you hear begging from the other side. The Blackwood property no longer exists. Neither does the valley it sat in. Neither does most of Virginia. The thing that Marcus Webb released has consumed millions of souls now, and it continues to spread. The military abandoned containment efforts after losing 50,000 soldiers to absorption. The president ordered a nuclear strike on the thing's epicenter. The missiles detonated. The thing absorbed the explosion and everyone within the blast radius. It's now radioactive and unstoppable. Some scientists believe the thing will eventually consume all human life on Earth. Others think it will stop once it runs out of souls to absorb. No one knows for sure, but they all agree on one thing. The Blackwood family had been containing this for nearly 2 centuries through sheer determination and adherence to a single rule: never open the door. And Marcus Webb broke that rule because he didn't believe in warnings, didn't respect traditions he didn't understand, didn't think a family curse could be real. 7 generations of Blackwoods sacrificed their chance to profit from their property to keep this thing contained. They lived knowing something terrible was locked beneath their home, hearing it pound and beg and manipulate every night, and they never opened that door. They maintained the locks. They passed down the warnings. They protected the world from this horror for 176 years. And it took one man 8 hours to undo all of it. Marcus Webb is still alive, still running, still receiving those calls from the chorus of absorbed souls. His face hasn't joined the thing's mass yet, but it will. Eventually, the thing will reach him, will absorb him like it's absorbed everyone else. And he'll spend eternity as part of that writhing collective, screaming from impossible flesh, one face among millions, forever aware, forever suffering. That's the price of opening doors that should have stayed closed. If this story has you respecting family warnings and local folklore, hit that subscribe button for more terrifying tales from the things that should have stayed contained. And remember, when a family maintains a rule for generations, when they sacrifice profit and convenience to uphold that rule, when they warn you with desperate sincerity not to break it, listen. Because family rules that persist for centuries usually exist for good reason. Some doors were locked by people who knew what they were doing. Some warnings were written by people who'd seen the consequences of ignoring them. And some evil is only containable through constant vigilance and absolute adherence to rules that might seem arbitrary to outsiders. The Blackwood family did their part for 176 years. They contained something horrible. They protected the world. And all they asked was that anyone who inherited their property respect one simple rule. Don't open the cellar door. It wasn't much to ask, but it was too much for Marcus Webb. And now we're all paying the price for his arrogance. If you ever encounter a locked door with warnings carved into it, if you ever find a property with strange restrictions and desperate previous owners, if you ever face a choice between satisfying your curiosity and respecting a rule you don't fully understand, choose respect, choose caution, choose to leave the door locked. Because some things should stay bound, some evils should stay contained, and some warnings should be heeded. Always.